We're working on different language. Then this language went to rules, and it was changed again, we didn't get a chance to look at it before rules. I took the subcommittee in to meet with Ross. We made it very clear that we would be happy to work on a campaign that actually met our needs, and that we wanted the medical, non-medical distinction to be very clear. We thought that that was in the process. We got up to rules. We spoke our piece. Some of us spoke in support, well, all of us spoke in support of it getting out of rules. And what happens with a ballot measure is it goes to rules, it's approved by the Rules Committee of the city, and then it goes to the full board for approval to be put on the June ballot. So we got an approval of something that we really didn't like out of the Rules Committee. We really weren't into it, you know, when we actually got to read the wording after they had already voted. Now remember, when I'm talking about needing to know the obstructionist tricks and all of that, when you have an issue at City Hall, you need to get up there at 9 o'clock in the morning and stand in that office, no matter if it's a progressive or a conservative supervisor, and find out and read the amendments before you go to speak in support. Hard lesson learned. So then we started going to battle. Tomorrow's Monday. It goes before the board on Tuesday. I've been working for several days to be able to have Supervisor Campos's working group, which has voting members, to have an emergency meeting so that we can get this language amended before it goes to full board on Tuesday. There's two things that can happen. The supervisor can accept our amendments and put them forward to the full board, or he can reject them. But we also have a power inherent in that, is that if it does not do something for the community that already exists of cultivators who are willing to come above ground and get permitted and get licensed, which yes, those permits and those licenses cost. That's revenue for the city. We're not willing to pay taxes, but we're willing to create more revenue in order to increase public safety awareness and to be able to have something when the SFPD comes saying, hey, we've got a checklist here. This is a safe cultivation site. You need to leave and you need to not take anything with you. So what happened was this passed out of rules. We didn't like it. We let them know we didn't like it. And then Ross is saying that he's open to amendments. So I want to read some of the suggested amendments and get the vote of this body, this Harvey Milk Cannabis Caucus, which has two people that are voters at the table tomorrow, Jonathan Bieber and Shamari Clark. Shamari Clark actually has a vote for the Harvey Milk Cannabis Caucus, and Jonathan Bieber has his own cannabis elder vote. I just found, of course I had it right in my thing, the old first one that was brought to the policy table. And I'll pass around the two versions so that people can see the changes that were made and why I felt that they were really alarming. And so the first one that was passed around read like this: it shall be the official policy of the city and county of San Francisco that the city shall license, regulate, and tax the cultivation and sale of cannabis and allow for adults 21 years of age older to possess cannabis for both medical and non-medical uses in strict compliance with the state vehicle and penal codes and prohibitions against consuming cannabis in public spaces in the presence of minors. It's not the same because I'll pass these two around, but what you'll see is that it is, they took out medical and non-medical use in the second one, and both of these aren't accurate. So I'm going to read a revised version and talking points from the subcommittee on cultivation, and then I'm going to read you my amended version as well. So the amended version that I worked on yesterday was Stuart Rhodes, the chairman of what we call the SOC, and that buzzword simply means some subcommittee on cultivation. and it shall be the official policy of the city and county of San Francisco that the city shall license, permit, regulate, and protect the collective cultivation of medical cannabis, as well as research projects in cannabis-based medicine in the interest of promoting public health and safety and in strict adherence to state law.
Yeah, right.
That's the version that we're going to try to hand in to the supervisors tomorrow, and hopefully will be entered into the board on Tuesday. Now again, if Ross doesn't accept the amendments, then the only thing left to do is say, okay, fine, but we don't commit our energies, we don't commit our money, we don't commit our volunteer hours to something that isn't going to protect us.
Okay.
But, you know, I mean, the policy statement's fine, but it would be meaningless. So these are some of the talking points that me and Stuart talked about a little bit of forwarding tomorrow at the meeting of the emergency meeting of the Medical Cannabis Working Group. And that, I won't say it's a closed meeting, but it's for the voters that have been working with the Campos Group for the last year. And the voting members will hopefully vote to amend this. Our point number one is endeavoring to campaign for a ballot initiative that will be, it'll be economically costly and time consuming. The June ballot, it typically attracts a conservative voting pool, which isn't necessarily true all the time. And I want to remind people that in 30 years of cannabis legislation in San Francisco, nothing has ever been rejected by the voters. So don't let City Hall scare you and say, hey, this is a conservative voting pool. We also have the DCCC coming up in June, and they're going to need to pull out every new voter that's in San Francisco from the Obama campaign to keep the Democratic Party progressive, which is something that we should talk about as a caucus of taking a night for phone banking for the DCCC, which is just totally on the side. Okay, a ballot initiative supporting medical cannabis is much more easily passed than one enabling recreational use. So in other words, we're saying, well, if you're saying to us that these conservative voters are going to come out in June, and we're saying like, hey, you know, we're getting ahead of the curve and we're going to pass something regarding adult use and cultivation for adult use, how much do you think the neighbors in the Sunset want to hear about a non-medical garden being licensed? You know, they don't want to hear about that. And it's all about the conversation and the dialogue for a policy thing, right? But if we say to, you know, what sometimes they call in politics the haters, if we say to the haters, listen, this is a public safety measure. We're coming and we're talking to your neighborhood group because we want to educate you about the real safety, you know, the real safety for medical cannabis.